Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Thursday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. At Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. Thirsty Thursday. This is your first stop for old news. And that's fine, because here you are. And here we are. And we wanted to get here sooner, but we didn't. And I'm not even sure why. So, I mean, maybe it was the weather. I have no idea. But we are going to talk about, we'll mention Jayden Bass and Ike Daniels. Okay, a couple verbal commits for 2023 that happened since we were last on. And also, Joe wants to brag about his bracket, but we're going to really be quick about that. But
I don't want to brag about anything.
He did bring up a great point, though. He did bring up a great point, and he did the TBT bracket, and he did win more money than Boeheim's Army, which is a great point. So after busting his chops, he dropped a truth bomb on me, and I had nothing after that. So, anyways, we can whistle past the graveyard on Boeheim's Army real quick. And then ACC Media Day happened, and Joe was like, look, watch the presser and see if we can put some stuff together. And I was like, okay, sounds like a great idea. How long is it? And he's like, oh, it's about half an hour. You got the three players and coach. I was like, okay, so I'll do that. So I accidentally watched the interview with the guys from the ACC network first, and I'm like, oh, crap, I just recorded the wrong thing. And it was good, and I had a lot of stuff written down. So then I watched the press conference, and I about fell asleep. So I listened to about half of the press conference. Joe, I don't know if you went back and listened to the ACC Media Day sit-down with the ACC guys. You did?
Did.
Okay, all right, perfect. All right. Was it a little bit more energetic than the press conference, or was that me? Am I just being a cynic?
No, I think in that type of setting, I think it's a lot easier for kids that aren't used to talking to media all that much to be a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
And I believe that panel is filled with a lot of ex-players and coaches. So I think that, they're pretty good at making it seem kind of, taking that tension off.
It's a more relaxed environment for them.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and they came across way better than they were during the press conference, especially Bergeron, who is very it was night and day, which was worth the listen. And we'll do the first coach montage of the year as we go into our sixth football season. Believe it or not, this will be our sixth football season.
Shut up.
It is, yeah. I looked it up.
Wow.
Yeah, so we already finished up 6 basketball seasons, going into our 6th football season. And
we were here with Schaefer, huh?
No.
We did Schaefer's last year?
No, we didn't. No, we did Baber's first year.
Oh, okay. Well.
Yeah, yep. So, excuse me. I think this is Baber's 7th year, so we did his 2nd year. I can't remember, man.
Yeah,
it was 2016. I think.
Yeah.
It was 2016, something like that. So, which, it was 2017 because football season comes the year. We started the basketball season in 2016, so the football season was 2017. You dig?
Right.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Dig.
Okay.
I dig. Yeah.
All right. Okay. With that said, Joe, let's the biggest news of the off season so far for anybody who didn't know, Babers did follow us back on Twitter. That was the biggest news that I had so far. Okay, ACC Media Day kicked it up a notch, but we didn't learn a whole lot, right? So we had Boeheim's Army. We were super excited about Boeheim's Army, and we just got dropped on our heads. It was a huge disappointment. Injuries. The team just didn't. I don't know. That second game against the nerd team was just very unenergetic and hard to watch for me.
Yeah,
and it was frustrating. I was being super negative. I was texting Joe super negative things, and I was just pissed. So all the stuff I don't put on Twitter, I send Joe. So it was super upsetting, but here we are. You know, I don't know the future of Boeheim's Army. Not sure, you know, what that looks like. You know, starting off as an alumni team and barely having 50% of the players. Actually, was it 50%? Yes, I think it was.
It was.
Once Jimmy came in. Into what we are now, and then kind of a big flop. And we had a couple years ago, we had a big flop. So the expectation set for Boeheim's Army, it hasn't been met a couple times, and I don't know how long they sustain that. Blue Collar U coming away with the championship, obviously played out of the Syracuse region, also going to get their own home region next year. So I mean, that's huge for them.
Hey, winner out of our region, Buffalo. We talked about how good that team was.
Yeah.
So,
and anyway, any final thoughts on Boeheim's Army?
I mean, I looked at it like injuries. I don't know necessarily. You know, it would have been nice to see if everybody was healthy. You know, how that would have gone, and I still would have loved to have known what happened with Kyle Wiltshire. But
nobody's had anything to say about that.
I know.
So anyway, okay, a couple verbal commits over the past 2 weeks since we've been away. Jayden Bass, a 3-star offensive lineman, 6'5", 295, becomes the first offensive lineman to commit in this class of 2023. He was ranked 133rd best tackle by 247. And he had offers from Navy, Air Force, Army. We love those offers. We talk about them all the time. Temple, Liberty, among others. Chose Syracuse. And, you know, I think what did we return on our offensive line this year? It's like 62% or something like that. Is that what I heard?
No, I mean, it was everybody but Cervase.
Okay.
And then, I mean, we have some people that left the program, so okay. But he hasn't played.
I think that was defense then. That 62% I heard. Anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, Jayden Bass, Joe.
Jayden Bass is a big boy, and again, I mean, this is the type of guys that we get, the 3-star linemen. I like where our line's at right now, but like you said, 6'5", 295, and I mean, he's coming out of Massachusetts, which, you know, it's one of those states that a lot of people, a lot of those players in high school, they don't really get the accolades because it's not looked at as a football state, right? Small state. And he also attended the same high school as defensive lineman Terry Lockett, that we obviously he's going to be probably most likely a starter on our defensive line. So, yeah, I mean, he is one of those guys, again, like you said, you look at, I mean, UConn, Air Force, and then some MAC teams is really who's offered him a scholarship. And again, you see the Air Force, and you know, this is just kind of how this normally happens. I think that we just jump on these guys a little bit early because we tend to lose those, you know, 4-star battles with other schools. So we jump on guys that only have scholarships from the Air Forces and the MAC teams and stuff. And, you know, he'll end up getting some more Power 5 conferences. Right now we are the only Power 5 team that offered him a scholarship. So, you know, having an ex-teammate there hopefully helps. But also, this is a situation where if his recruitment blows up, then, you know, you never know. This is the stuff you always talk about, right? Like, it's just a verbal. Doesn't mean that it's true. So, first Power 5 conference offer, and then he takes the verbal, and then a lot of times when that happens and you start getting other schools in the Power 5 start, you know, asking and getting, you know, interested, and you never know what happens with that. But I think this guy's gonna be somebody that sticks, especially considering that, you know, the relationship with Terry Lockett and everything like that. So hopefully everything works out and we keep him, because I think this is one of those guys that's probably better than what his rating is, just like Terry Lockett was. So
the other one, the next one, I think. I mean, I don't know, man. This one, and you know me, I look at these things very quick and, you know, not with a whole lot of seriousness. But this one here, Ike Daniels, 3-star running back, out of Virginia. I think he's from Stafford, Virginia, if I remember right. Chose Syracuse over Hawaii, but he had some other Power 5 offers. Wake Forest out of the ACC, Boston College out of the ACC, Pitt out of the ACC.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah. So, got a lot of good offers. He's going to get the Virginia nod, right? So that's why he got the offers, but he's going to get that nod, right? So 5'10", 185 pounds. Mountain View. Oh, yes, it is. Stafford, Virginia, according to Nunes here. Considered by 247 Sports and Rivals and ESPN to be a 3-star recruit, top 45 running back in his class, though. So that seems high to me. Maybe an underrated 3-star, possibly. I don't know, how many running backs there are in the class throughout the country, but it seems pretty high to me.
Well, yeah, and when you watch his highlight tape, which again, you're always obviously the highlight tapes look good, but there's a lot. You can see the talent in the raw talent and how just that alone gets him there with where he plays. But you can also see that there's so much room for improvement with this guy, with the way that he runs, as far as his form and everything. There's so many things that he can tweak to probably make him a better running back. And 5'10", 185, you can get a little bit of weight on.
He's just a tiny bit skinny up top.
Yeah, and it's a situation where this isn't going to be a guy that's going to come in and add. I mean, again, I'm not going to say, I don't want to say that 100%, but I think that LaQuint Allen coming in as a freshman, I think he's going to turn some heads this year, and he's going to get some playing time. And obviously, we have Juwan Price as well. So I think everybody's pretty much expecting Sean Tucker. This is going to be his last year, right? So he's going to come in next year, and there's going to be a young, really, really hungry group to see who's going to come up and fill Sean Tucker's spot. But I don't think he's necessarily going to be asked to, pull the load or even possibly even be a part of that unless he shows up a little bit different.
But Sean Tucker wasn't asked to do anything either in his first year.
I know. Yeah, and all it takes is an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think that Juwan Price and LaQuint Allen are going to do some things this year that are going to put them kind of in the driver's seat of, the 1-2 punch at running back next year to kind of fill Sean Tucker's spot. But again, like Sean Tucker just came out of nowhere and then evolved.
You forget a little bit because he's so awesome how that all started with the COVID option.
Yeah.
Right? And going to what? 4th string running back.
I mean, dude, there's a chance without COVID that there is no Sean Tucker.
That's a very good possibility. We might not even barely know his name.
That's what I mean. I mean, he was one of these type of recruits, a 3-star running back. At the end of the recruiting, that was like, hey, we didn't get some of our guys, and we want to fill somebody. Oh, here we go, we'll grab him. And he was like 4th or 5th in the depth chart that year.
Yeah.
And because of COVID, there was people that decided not to play, and then Jawar Jordan gets hurt, and all of a sudden, okay. And it didn't take long to understand that this dude was highly, highly underrated.
And you thought, a little bit. I mean, you got to be a little skeptical. I'm a skeptic by nature. So you watch him the first couple of times, you're like, people will figure him out. Well, guess what? They never really did. It's a freaking truck. So with that said, that will lead us right into ACC Media Day. Let's listen to what Coach and the players had to say.
Talk about the quarterbacks. All 7 quarterbacks returning. You got a guy in Garrett Schroeder who took some great strides. A big offseason for him as he steps in again as your man. What are you looking forward to seeing most from Garrett this year?
Leadership. Okay. Leadership, and he's done nothing but demonstrated that. And, he's the type of guy where not only his legs can help us, but the way he fights, the way he competes, if everybody's going to play as hard as him, we're going to have some opportunities to win some games.
Coach Sean Tucker, great player, obviously. He's a guy, if you could give it to him 40 times a game, you probably would. If you knew he would hold up. Do you guys have a magical number as far as totes or how often you try to get the ball to him?
That'd be the best way to get him to go to the pros, to tell him that there's a limit. We do not. There is no limit. And I will say this, Coach, and I say out of all respect, because you're always a coach to me, like the term boo, you're a coach to me. I stood behind him the entire spring, and I'm being modest about what I'm about to say.
Yes, sir.
He's better.
Wow.
And I don't know how to I'm not going to lie to you guys. He's better, so it's going to be a sight to see.
Your defense, man, that's always been stout. Mikael Jones, I think, leading tackler last year. How has he grown coming into this last season?
Heartbeat of the defense, not even close. The guy, he's the leader of that entire defense, and they go as he go. And his group, Stephon Thompson, Marlo Wax, those three linebackers, OMG.
Yeah.
That's some young people terms right there, OMG. So those guys, when they're on the field, they're almost like a glove. They just kind of know what in the heck's going on. And they all bring something to the party. I'm not making this up now. That group may be the best group ever for us.
Wow.
I mean, and we've got some cats that are still in the pros playing linebacker, but as a group, wow.
Real quick, I just want to stay with the defense that we were talking about there, that 3-3-5 scheme from defensive coordinator Tony White. We talked about all the pieces of what make it special, but what is unique about that defense that also allows it to shine?
I think the unpredictability of the defense. I mean, you get offensive linemen coming to the line of scrimmage, and they're not quite sure.
You're 100% right. I hate that damn thing. I hate scheming it.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you again about Garrett, your quarterback, right? Because obviously this year he's coming in as QB1. How much more confident does that make you, and how much more confident do you think it makes him as well?
Well, it's his team right now, and he's demonstrated that. His work ethic, stuff that they've done over the summer to get better, and they need to continue to do that. And the way I look at it is, every job's open, but if you're going to go get that job, wow, we're going to have some kind of quarterback.
Absolutely.
So go get it.
Right.
Go get it if you can, but if not, we're going to be sitting good at that position.
We're talking to Coach Dino Babers before you jumped out here, and he said, I'm not trying to really dive into the record books and the history, and there's some guys in the league playing at the defensive level representing Syracuse, but this might be our best group we've ever had as a core. How does it make you feel to hear something like that?
It makes me feel great, and I believe it's the truth. Coming in since 2020 season when I was a sophomore and half of the starters were freshmen, we were just babies coming up, and we made a lot of noise that year on the defensive side at least, and I feel like that's a true statement.
You guys host Louisville week 1, a conference opponent, and oh, by the way, that quarterback's Malik Cunningham. For a guy like you, whose number one assignment is going to be contain that man, how excited are you for that challenge right out of the gates?
Man, I'm excited. That's a perfect way to start the season off. Like, you're seeing one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. You're getting a little bit of everything. You're getting a lot of pass. You're getting a lot of run. It's an exciting game to start it off, and I feel like it's going to tell a lot about our season.
Talk a little bit about your quarterback, Garrett Schroeder. I mean, fun watch on film. Asked Coach Babers about him. Said he just wants to see that leadership. So how have you seen him grow in that area?
He's calling all types of player-led practices.
Nice, wow.
He's holding accountability, like holding people accountable, even on the defensive side.
Awesome.
It's nice to see from a quarterback.
Garrett, this offseason, what's been your main focus to try to get better and what you need to get better at? When you look back at last season, what'd you say, I got to get better here?
The biggest thing is last year it felt like we were fighting uphill, and coming into a new school, this will be my 4th OC in 4 years, and this will only be my 3rd year playing the position. But just embracing this new offense, I've had a little bit of familiarity with it with Mike Leach and being that that air raid style. So just getting these guys right and making sure we're where we need to be. And it feels like it's the first time I've had control of the offense, and I'm not really worried splitting reps with other people, but we're really starting to get sharp. We're starting to get there in about practice 7 of spring ball. I mean, we felt like we were light years of where we were at the end of last year.
You've got 2 pretty good guys back there, especially with their feet, the elusiveness, being able to extend plays, and then Sean Tucker and the special player that he is. How fun is it, and does it make your job a little bit easier knowing you have 2 studs like that behind you?
Oh, 100%, man. Being offensive line, sometimes, you go miss blocks, miss assignments, and these guys, they can make it happen. Sean Tucker, you miss a block, he can make it happen with his feet. He's a big dude. I see a lot of defenders, bouncing off him. So it's really exciting. And Schrader out there in the backfield, you miss a block. Some DN think he got an easy sack, but nah. Then next thing you know, Schrader's 10 yards downfield. So yeah, I'm grateful.
Matthew, I learned something new a few minutes ago that you're from Montreal, Quebec. So How has the game here in America changed from what you learned when you were in high school playing the CFL rules?
So growing up, I played in the CFL rules, 12 player on the field, wider field, larger field, receivers with a 10-yard head start. So it was really different for me, getting to that transition, coming to Syracuse. I'm French, so there's different terms, football terms that I had to learn. But, the coaching staff did a great job of making it easier for me. And I got, in a position where I could start as a freshman, and now I've got a lot of experience, and I'm just ready to, leave it all out there.
All right, Joe. Right. Well, the first thing after watching all that, the demeanor of all the players and even coach just seems to be starting off totally different than the past couple years, in my opinion. You don't have an issue at quarterback or a potential issue, and we hammered enough last year. You're starting with what you're going to be. You're going to be starting with what you're going to be starting with. Everybody knows where they're going to be. There's no question marks. And you're returning a lot of the linebacker core. You're returning. So let's start at the top here and just kind of try to hit some of this. Every team in the Atlantic is returning. This is the last year of this setup too, with the conference setup. Every team in the Atlantic's returning quarterbacks. So, coach is asked about Garrett Schroeder, and he said his leadership. And you heard Michael Jones, say that, he's holding offense and defense accountable, and he's a voice on the field. That's huge. I just don't think he ever got comfortable in that position last year. Maybe towards the end of the year, but spending the whole year, you got the same offensive coordinator, some familiarity there with that, and being able to be, being respected by your offensive line and everybody else on the team, and being able to be the leadership voice on the field. That's huge. Just that alone is huge to start the year.
So, and then when you look at it last year, it was a situation where, we know that there was the locker room, there was a divide. There was some type of divide. We don't know the percentage, right? But there was people that thought Schrader should be in there, and there was people that thought DeVito should be in there.
It felt that way.
We had some people that transferred because of that, correct? So it's a situation where by the time he got the job and then won the team over and then got comfortable, we had injuries. We had people going to transfer portal. We were playing against lost time. And there's a situation where other teams were playing, they're just farther along in their development throughout the season because we didn't decide what we wanted to do until week 4 or 5. So, and then again, we know that there were still 3 or 4 winnable games right there that we
just
didn't
squandered.
Take.
Yeah.
So there's a chance. There's an easy chance that we could have been 7-5 versus 5-7 last year. And there's a lot of people again that don't know that because people and fans, and they're not going to go back and look at the standings and look at the record and look at the games. So I think already, I looked at last year as a missed opportunity for a bowl game because I thought we had a manageable schedule and I thought we had the talent. And then I think that at some point we proved we had the talent, but the depth and the people leaving and just not being as far along kind of came back and bit us in the butt. So this year I think we're actually going to be starting off from game 1 like in a way better position than I think a lot of people as far as other people in the college football world, not just us, our fans, but I think that we're going to be better off game 1 than a lot of people expect for sure.
Yeah, and we'll get to that, game 1, because it was mentioned, and we'll talk about it here real quick. Sean Tucker, we talk about guys getting bigger, faster, stronger all the time, no matter what it is in college sports. You got these kids are still growing, obviously, and working out and finding their own and getting better every year, hopefully, right? Well, the first thing Dino Babers said in the press conference and in the ACC with that interview that you just heard was that he's trying to downplay, but not downplay the fact that Sean Tucker strides better, perhaps, than he was last year. And, the really only observation or analysis I have for that is that could be trouble for everybody. And it was trouble for everybody already. But with, and you heard them talk about, Schrader's the obvious number 1. So if there was still anybody out there who thought that wasn't going to happen, I think that solidifies it, right?
So, right.
But with Sean Tucker, Joe, if he can stay healthy, which, running backs is tough, and especially if you're just going to feed him and feed him and feed him. Pretty resilient guy, though, and we saw last year he took a beating and kept on going. He's in the weight room all the time. Dino said that when he went to the office on Christmas break last year, when everybody was gone, Sean Tucker's in the weight room by himself, working out. So that's the dedication it takes. The dude would run track and then go to football practice. He's just a workhorse,
miss Christmas.
Dude. And stay home. Yeah, stay at
he's
school.
on a mission.
Oh, he's on a mission for sure. So that's just it. The motivation that he has, the self-drive that he has, you just got to look at it and say, I'm so glad that guy is on my team.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure every teammate he has and every coach he has thinks the same thing, right? I mean, this is a situation where you could look at it one of two ways, because these coaches that came in from Virginia, the offensive coaches, the quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, they're known for, play calling and kind of molding their scheme and their system based upon the players that they have, not the other way around. They're not trying to fit a damn square peg in a round hole, all right? Not going to happen. So we know that they're going to run Schrader. We know that they're going to run Sean Tucker. And if he didn't get any better, then it's still a problem, right? Like you said. But another thing, and another way you could look at it, is by him coming out and trying to pump up him. Number one, there's a huge thing on Twitter. There's a group that's, Sean Tucker for Heisman. There's a huge thing going on with that. So, you maybe want to use that for some traction, kind of pump his stuff up. But also, if anybody's listening and they want to believe, Sean Tucker's better, well, maybe that's going to scare other defensive coordinators into being like, oh, man, we're going to have to scheme for him which could turn around and
open the door for Schrader.
Open the door for Schrader or the passing game or somebody else.
Dude, that's how they were able to stay close in that Georgia Tech game, or the Wake Forest game, last year. And also that's how the biggest win last year was against Virginia Tech. That's how they pulled that's how they stayed close in the one and pulled the other one off. Was the defense just didn't know. And in talking about defenses not knowing, they talk about the unpredictability of the 3-3-5. You got Michael Jones. This dude's chomping at the bit. Dino Babers calls him the heartbeat of the defense. Led the team in tackles last year. Just an amazing player. I think he was first team ACC as well, right? There was him and Sean Tucker, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a lot of returning guys. The linebacker core, you heard Coach say it could be the best that he's ever had, with Stephon Thompson and Marlo Wax. And with the 3-3-5, the thing is we weren't real sure like how much of it we were seeing, this and that. They kept it very vanilla. Well, this year's going to be totally different, and they're able to scheme better with just the small communication on the field amongst players. They know where to be. They know what to do. They understand this thing better, as if they weren't good enough last year. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to like blow smoke or get too pumped up. But when I listen to Michael Jones talk and his knowledge of the 3-3-5, because he does go through and explain something very pedestrian things,
right?
Which confused the hell out of me. But he explains some very pedestrian things. The dude has the knowledge, and he's running that defense. You got out on the islands, you got Deuce and Garrett Williams. And I mean, this thing could be bad. If you getting past the line and even into the secondary is not going to be easy. I don't know what to expect, but I've got to imagine that it's going to be something special.
I think that this helps us because it's a situation where 3-3-5. You look at the college game now. When we grew up, there was ground and pound teams that weren't passing it more than 10 times, 12 times. Like, football is a passing game now. So, yeah, okay, our defensive line might not return the starters and, all the people that we had last year. But how many teams are just going to line up and try to get just 4 or 5 yard you to death and just nickel and dime yourself down the field? So the people are going to take shots down the field. And really, when it comes to this, you need to have the talent, obviously.
That's the thing, though. They have it.
They do, right? But then also you need to have the knowledge.
And they got that, seems.
And they have that, right? Because this is their third year. So now they have the knowledge. Now when you bring the confidence into it, now when you actually put – because part of that is, okay, I'm a really good athlete. I have the talent. But if you don't got it all upstairs as far as you don't have it down, like you know exactly what you need to do, then sometimes you look lost out there and you can't make up for the knowledge just because you're talented, right? So when you can put those two together, then that's when you get the confidence. And when you get all three, then that's a dangerous player. Now, when you have a linebacker core of three players that are all at the same place, that's what's dangerous. Because every single one of those guys knows this to the T. They're going to be playing games with the offensive line. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And now, not only do they have the talent, the strength, and the knowledge, but now they have the confidence. And I mean, I'm super excited to see. I mean,
is huge. You can just tell, just by the way. I mean, Michael Jones doesn't skip a beat when you can tell he is so excited to talk about his defense. Of course, he agrees with Coach that this is the best, right? But it is quite possible that is an understatement.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that wasn't too far away. It wasn't that long time ago where we had a Zaire Franklin and a Jonathan Thomas and a Paris Bennett that were pretty good.
It seems like eons ago.
It does, because they were Schaefer guys. But at the same time, yeah, these guys are better. And I mean, I know what Mikel Jones brings to the table because he's already proven it. But I mean, I'm excited for Marlowe Wax. I mean, that was a guy I remember when we signed him, and I was like, and the offense and defense coordinators were fighting over, are he going to play running back?
Is he going to play running back?
Linebacker?
Yeah. Like, I remember talking about the verbal commitment. It was one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of those guys that when we got him, I was like, this dude's going to be a stud no matter where he lands. And then, he lands in linebacker, and that's a guy that I'm excited about too. So, yeah, I'm super, super excited about them, and hopefully that can make up for the lack of experience in the front.
Yeah, in the defense was not bad last year. I think we all remember that. It's just going to be that much better this year. And the 3-3-5 is like Forrest Gump said. It's like a box of chocolates. He was actually talking about the 3-3-5 when he said that, not life.
Yeah.
So the Syracuse Orange 3-3-5. Okay. Opening at the Dome against Louisville, September 3rd. It's a primetime game. And, you've got Malik Cunningham is coming in there. I believe this is his third. No, hold on a second. I think Coach said he thinks it was his first time.
Forever.
I know. It's like one of those guys. I think Coach said this would be his first time in the Dome, but I'm not sure about that. And I didn't look it up.
No, I think the last 3 times we've played Louisville has been at Louisville because of the way that the schedule got shook up with COVID and everything. Yeah.
So this is going to be very, very telling. This game right off the get. September 3rd. September 3rd is a Saturday. That is Labor Day weekend. That is a Saturday. We should be here the 4th. And we will be able to discuss this. And I'm actually very excited for this game, but I'm just as nervous about this game as I am excited, because as much as I don't like to get excited about Syracuse football or basketball, and in that way there, I don't get let down by any disappointments that might ensue. I try not to get too excited, but I just can't help it, man. And so this game makes me excited and nervous equally at the same time. But regardless, it's going to show us where this team is at. That we have a home field advantage is huge. And like Coach said, that may be the only advantage, but I'm not quite sure. We'll just have to see. So it'd be an interesting first game, though.
Yeah, I hate that it's not set up like a, Wagner, UConn, and then go through.
I know, but there's a little bit of excitement about opening up against an ACC team at home off the bat. I would prefer not to.
But who has more question marks and weaknesses that they haven't figured out by week 1 is really what that's about, right? I mean, we know what Malik Cunningham brings to the table. We know what they've done to us the past 3 times. But, I mean, I'm looking at it, Saturday, primetime game.
Yeah, Saturday primetime game on a for most people like you and I. It's a 4-day weekend for me, but for you, it's a 3-day weekend, right? So that is like something to look forward to. And you're talking 8 o'clock prime time, baby, to open this thing up. That's going to be freaking
Network,
awesome.
Not ESPN, but it's still
it's
still
fine.
prime time. And as far as right now goes, I mean, the point spread's 3. Louisville's a 3.5 point favorite. So already, I mean, we're getting some respect from Vegas, and considering we lost 41-3 last year, I think that we're getting a little bit of respect there shown. But it's going to be a very telling game, very, very telling to be able to start off 1-0 in the ACC. Week 1.
I'm not even there. I just want to see how this game goes. Like, they just got to hang. And if they can come out first game of the season against a serious opponent like Louisville, who's predicted to finish second in the conference.
By some people.
The ones I saw was...
there's a lot I've seen. It's been all over the place.
Has it? Okay. All right, well, fair enough.
I've seen Clemson, Wake Forest, NC State, Louisville. So,
Okay.
I mean, I've seen all 4 of those be shown as the winner. So, this year, I think is going to be crazy in our division. And realistically, I mean, I would love to know the percentage or the chances of us making a bowl game right now, and then what it would go to if we won week 1.
Oh, yeah, that'd be something. Anyways, Michael Jones, can't wait. Super excited about it, but a huge test. Not an easy one, but it is going to give everybody a very good indication of what to expect for the rest of the season, I think. So,
yep.
Garrett Schroeder, he comes in and he talks about, we mentioned it briefly, finally some consistency. He's had 4 offensive coordinators in 3 years in the position, and a guy who transferred and comes in here and has to basically go through some controversy to get the spot. And we mentioned we don't know what happened in the locker room, but there had to have been something. He overcomes all of this. He comes out on top. He's another dude that character-wise, I feel like that's what makes him a guy you just want to root for and sit down and freaking drink some beers and talk football with. You know what I'm saying? He's that guy. He's a man's man. And as talented as he is, you got to imagine now this year there's a huge spotlight on him to fix some of the things like the passing game that he had. And but he's got a whole year with these guys now, pretty much, for the most part, almost a whole year. But he mentioned, it's his offense now, and he knows that. He doesn't have to guess it. He doesn't have to fight an uphill battle. He's starting on level ground, start the season in the first game. And, when he came in the 4th game of the season last year, it was an uphill battle. And it's just a lot of pressure with a new team and learning a new playbook from another offensive coordinator. But now that he's got the consistency, Joe, how confident are you, do you think, in him just grabbing this thing and becoming someone that can not only run and be a threat with the run, which he was going to be anyway, but to also make defenses kind of hold off on coming after this guy too much, because now he can pass. Because that's the only thing that that's the hurdle he needs to overcome.
My confidence level would be higher if it was just based on him. If I could turn around and I know that we have stud receivers, stud pass blocking, I think that my confidence would be pretty high. Well, super high. My confidence is still high because this guy is somebody that nothing rattles him. Like, I mean, I just remember just watching him and just seeing the difference. And then when he got in the game last year, it was like, what are we doing? Why are we even questioning this? Then they got in there and it was like, I mean, yeah, we had some issues and we had some depth issues and things like that, but this dude doesn't get rattled. I mean, he sits there every single time at a press conference. He don't get hyped up. He's got his cool, calm, level-headed demeanor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the dude's a damn pilot. I mean, he flies planes and stuff. You need to have a little bit of a cool, calm demeanor to do that. I mean, he just seems like a chill dude that when he gets put in that competitive situation, it's like he's out there, but he doesn't never ever let anything get to him. Or he did like DeVito. Every single time something happened, it was like he was all over the place. He
get frazzled too easy. He got
frazzled too easy, and Garrett Schroeder does not get frazzled too easy.
He does.
So I mean, I just hate like all the haters and all the people that still coming into this year speculating that Garrett Schroeder. The minute we get a transfer that would come from Florida, 4-star, he's going to be the starter. Put him in. Like I don't see how certain people didn't see this and see. Just through what he had to endure last year.
It's fandom. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see, but I'm minus worrying about the offensive line and how much better they got as far as pass blocking and receivers. I know that he did his part as a leader, as getting the attention to everybody,
respect,
and learning this playbook, gaining the respect of his team. And like he said, he is the leader, and he is holding everybody accountable, not just the quarterbacks, not just the offense, not just everybody, defense, the whole team. So that's a good leader, and it's a step in the right direction. Doesn't mean that it always equates to W's, but it definitely is a positive versus, obviously a guy that can't control a locker room.
Though the soft spot on the team past couple of years been the offensive line. You feel a little bit better, I think, after hearing from Bergeron, and he seems like someone who's either still adjusting with a better grasp, but still adjusting to American football. Okay, I had no idea that in Canada they start the receivers 10 yards.
Oh yeah,
ahead of the line of scrimmage. There's
completely different rules.
So stupid.
Yeah. So you get a running start in Canada.
Yeah. So the field's bigger there, so it makes a little bit of sense. But there's the 12th man on defense, right? Is that what it is?
Oh God, I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know about that.
I think the sides are odd, I believe. So, anyways, who the hell cares? Who the hell cares?
I don't.
I could be totally wrong. I don't care. But my point is that...
Go Toronto Argonauts.
Yeah, Argonauts. That's right. Where did we hear that? What the hell was that from? Huh?
That was another episode.
Bergeron, the offensive line has got it kind of made. In the fact that these guys aren't going to just bake back there. They're going to create their own plays, which is what Tucker and Garrett Schroeder do. They just create their own plays. And the field vision of Garrett Schroeder for a quarterback is exceptional, and obviously Sean Tucker's right. Obviously it goes without saying.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of the strain off of the offensive line. So they've just got to give him these guys, both of them, a little bit. And we're just looking for a little bit. That comes with a little bit of effort and some strength. But
it's consistency too.
It's consistency. That's easy for me to say, but that's all we're looking for, right? So when we talk about the offensive line for the past couple of years to this year, the amount of the amount that they had to step it up isn't as bad as it could be because of who you got back there. I guess what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
I mean, that's part of it, but again, I think I look at it. I view it like last year and everything is like a different kind of view. Even the year before is that I just think that we had an offensive line that was good at run blocking.
Yeah,
and not that good at pass blocking.
Yeah.
And then when you put yourself in situations,
you haven't had a great passer either.
And or the receivers, you can. I mean, there's been question marks there for a couple of years, right? So it's a situation where do you start? But I mean, if you don't put yourself in a situation where you can run through the fourth quarter, then a lot of times you don't have to worry about that. I think one of the problems that we've had is that we can run, but when you're down 3 touchdowns in the second half, or 2 touchdowns in the second half,
it's demoralizing. I think people.
Well, then you need to start passing, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to, and then they bring the house, and right. So they knew we couldn't pass, and if they bring the house, we can't run. So
And that's
you
why
get to a point where it kind of looks ugly, and that's why it looked ugly for DeVito for a little while, and that probably frazzled him to the point where he couldn't come back from it. And then here comes Garrett Schroeder, and here we are. I mean, he had 2/3 of a year to prove to the team that he was the leader. An off season that's gotten better, and here we are. I'm excited.
Yeah, just don't cut the beard. It's my only request for that dude. He trimmed it, which is
He trimmed it and got a nice little fade.
yeah, which is a little disappointing. Just don't cut it. That's all I'm asking. No,
he's in Syracuse. We can understand.
Yeah, well, true. So I mean, yeah, I all in all, the press conference didn't do the justice of what I think really came out of ACC Media Day, and I think that's probably something that I don't know. It's duly noted in my head. Now, something did come out of ACC Media Day in the press conference, though. If you want to elaborate, do we want to hold off on this? Because we're gonna have Tyler on the next episode. We're gonna have Tyler on. I think we're gonna do. I don't know if we're gonna do picks, but we might do just total buy seller holds and
predictions,
final schedule predictions, maybe upsets, whatever like that. But we're not going to go through every game and do picks. It'll take 3 hours.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to talk about the whole story, but I mean, we can talk about it when Tyler comes on.
All right, we'll talk about it with Tyler. Okay.
All right.
All right. That's pretty much all I got. All I can say is that I am excited.
I got a couple things
for football. You got a couple things. Go figure. Right when I'm about to shut this thing down.
Dude, I'm sorry. It's just news, right? So there's some recent news. Obviously camp started 2 days ago. So now from here on out for the next month, we're going to be getting news like this. But they announced that wide receiver Javonte Williams and offensive lineman Will Froomey have left the program and gone into the transfer portal. Will Frommey, I think, has been here 3 or 4 years, hasn't really played, so I can understand that a little bit. Javonte Williams was kind of a guy that I thought was an underrated prospect, and he came in, and I was hearing good things about him, but he went into the transfer portal, so we're not going to have those two guys this year. In the first practice, Isaiah Jones left with an injury. I know Dino Babers talked about that because they had their little presser and everything, so that was the only kind of. But one thing that I was looking for that was pretty positive to me was that Kevon Darton, number 45, defensive lineman, the guy that's just got a motor. And I know that I know personally I've looked on the field and I'm like, who is that 45 with the dreads hanging out of his helmet that just won't stop attacking people on the defensive line? He came in, and I had no idea who he was, and the reason why I had no idea who he was because he was a walk-on.
Yeah.
And he was a walk-on that played in 6 games 2 years ago, played in every game last year, and just 3 days ago he earned his scholarship, and he moved from walk-on to a scholarship player. So that's pretty cool to see. And honestly, I mean, he earned it. He worked for it, and that's going to be a guy that's going to be in there. You're going to see him, number 45. It's just cool to know that these guys come from a place where, no D1 team really wants you, and you go in there and you prove yourself after 3 or 4 years to where you're actually out there in the rotation playing every single game. That's pretty impressive. And, just to give you some thought, when you see number 45 out there on D-line, just know where he came from, and he's out there, and he's going to give 110%.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And was just trying to think who was we had one of those recently. Who was it?
Oh, didn't
we?
Like a couple days ago?
It was Schmidt. It was Andre Schmidt. It wasn't recently.
Oh yeah, Andre Schmidt his freshman year when he won. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean we got some young guys. That are hungry. We got obviously a walk-on that turned around and got a scholarship. He's hungry too. So I know everyone's worried about the defensive line, but we got a lot of hungry guys with some good motors up there that are going to try to wreak havoc. They're going to go out there and do it. They're going to try to do it. We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. So, All right, we are going to we're going to shoot for 2 weeks-ish again, and we'll compile something and be back, have a little fun with.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of news
with the football season coming up. So that is going to do it for us today. So pretty soon we'll be back on the socials on a consistent basis, by the way, and we'll have some fun. By the way, El Presidente grading Varsity Pizza 6.5. Oof. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace. Never.